3 minutes. That's how long it took for me turning off the U-Haul ignition to getting my first HOA violation slip. I hadn't even touched a single moving box when a woman in a visor stormed my driveway like she was serving a federal warrant. She slapped a fluorescent orange notice on my mailbox, glared at me like I'd kicked her golden retriever, and declared with a voice that could cut glass, improperly aligned garbage bins. "This is Maple Ridge, not the back alley of a nightclub." I blinked. "I just got here." She crossed her arms and already lowering property values. She had no idea who I was. "My name's David Harrington. I'm a software engineer turned real estate investor with a taste for quiet grill weekends. After selling my last startup, I decided to move somewhere that didn't involve 2 a.m. sirens or artisan scooter gangs. That brought me to Maple Ridge, a quote-unquote quaint HOA-controlled development nestled between a craft store and an organic grocery chain. The enforcer in question was Patricia Kensington, self-appointed HOA president for the past 9 years. She wore orthopedic sandals, held neighborhood patrol meetings in her garage, and had reportedly filed more noise complaints than the local airport. Unbeknownst to Patricia, I wasn't just the new guy on the block. I had recently acquired Summit Property Holdings, the management company that just bought the DDC-controlled rights to Maple Ridge's entire HOA. In short, Patricia worked for me. Patricia, blissfully unaware of the corporate handover, went full Karen overdrive. Within 48 hours of my arrival, I had been hit with a $50 mailbox paint mismatch fine, despite it being the same shade as all the others, a $75 penalty for lingering moving boxes and sightline of curb, and a formal warning for using a portable grill on a non-desated grill day, whatever that meant. She even came by with a tape measure to check the angle of my lawn edging. I caught her behind a bush taking zoomed-in pictures of my flower beds, muttering something about assessing tulip density. I remained calm, collected, patient. I let her dig. The next morning, Patricia showed up at 7 a.m. sharp with a clipboard and a measuring wheel. She announced loudly enough for the entire cul-de-sac to hear that my driveway had oil stains. That violated Section 12, 4 of the Community Appearance Standards. The stains in question were watermarks from yesterday's rain. When I pointed this out, she squinted and said with complete seriousness that watermarks were gateway stains to actual oil stains. By day 4, she had escalated to outright lying. She sent a letter to the city claiming I was running a business from home without a permit, then called animal control to report my supposedly dangerous pit bull. I don't own a dog. I have a tabby cat named Muffins who's afraid of butterflies. That's when I made a call, a brief one, to Gerald from Legal, who oversaw HOA compliance for Summit Property Holdings. Within a week, Summit's official signage replaced the old management company's placards throughout the neighborhood. A community-wide email went out with the subject line, "Important HOA Update." The message read, "Please welcome your new HOA. Oversight Group, Summit Property Holdings, managed by David Harrington." That's right, my name in bold. With my professional headshot attached for good measure, Patricia's reaction was better than Christmas morning. First came the panicked knock at my door at 8:30 p.m. She stood there holding a stack of her own rule books, her face cycling through shades of red I didn't know existed in nature. She stammered nervously, "I think there's been a mistake." I run. "This HOA. I've been president for 9 years. There must be some confusion with the paperwork." I offered her a sparkling water and calmly replied, "No, Patricia. You volunteer for it. I own it. The management company you report to is mine. Has been for 3 weeks now." I pulled out my phone and showed her the acquisition documents. Her hands shook as she read them. I didn't fire her immediately. No. That would have been too easy. Instead, I placed her on probationary volunteer status with significantly reduced responsibilities. Her new duties included organizing mulch delivery schedules, coordinating dog poop bag refills, and submitting weekly reports on sprinkler system efficiency. Every violation notice she wanted to issue now required my personal approval in writing. The power shift was delicious. Patricia tried to rally the other board members, but they were tired of her reign of terror, too. Mrs. Thompson from Pine Street actually brought me cookies to celebrate what she called the liberation of Maple Ridge. Patricia's desperation grew. She started following me around the neighborhood with her phone, trying to catch me violating her precious rules. The problem was, I knew every regulation by heart. Now I'd spent 3 nights reading the entire HOA handbook, all 247 pages of it. When she tried to cite me for having my trash cans out past noon on collection day, I politely reminded her that Section 8(2) clearly states residents have until sunset, not noon. She literally growled at me. The final blow came when I installed security cameras around my property, mostly to prove she kept trespassing. Within 2 weeks, I had compiled a greatest hits reel. There was Patricia peeking through my side gate at 5:45 a.m., Patricia measuring my grass with a literal ruler during my dinner party, Patricia yelling at a squirrel she accused of tampering with holiday decor. My personal favorite was Patricia attempting to use a drone to inspect my backyard, only to crash it into Mrs. Peterson's bird bath. At the next HOA meeting, now hosted in my newly renovated garage, complete with air conditioning and a 70-inch display screen, I played the footage. Attendance was mandatory. Snacks were provided. The room was packed with every homeowner in Maple Ridge, most of whom had suffered under Patricia's rule for years. As the video played, showing Patricia in all her obsessive glory, the initial gasps turned to laughter, then to thunderous applause. Patricia tried to resign mid-me, her voice cracking, as she said she could no longer serve a community that didn't appreciate her dedication to standards. I accepted her resignation before she finished the sentence, already having the paperwork prepared. But that wasn't the end. See, Patricia had been using her HOA position to bolster her real estate business, advertising herself as the expert on Maple Ridge standards. She'd been secretly steering clients away from certain houses by claiming insider knowledge of upcoming special assessments that didn't exist. 3 homeowners came forward that night with evidence of her lies costing them sales. The real estate board launched an investigation. Within 6 weeks, Patricia faced $17,000 in fines for ethics violations and lost her real estate license for 3 years. But that was just the beginning of her troubles. You see, during my review of the HOA's financial records, I discovered something interesting. Patricia had been charging homeowners for violations that didn't exist in our bylaws. She'd invented entire sections of rules, complete with fake amendment dates and board approval signatures. The phantom fines totaled over $48,000 over her 9-year reign. She'd been pocketing the difference between what she collected and what she reported to the previous management company. When I presented this evidence to our attorney, he nearly choked on his coffee. This wasn't just an HOA dispute anymore. This was embezzlement, wire fraud, tax evasion. Since she never reported the stolen income, the state attorney's office got involved faster than you could say class action lawsuit. Patricia tried to play it off as administrative errors, claiming she got confused between different HOA guidelines. She managed. The problem with that defense was that she only managed 1 HOA hours. She even tried to blame her assistant, except she didn't have an assistant. She'd been collecting a salary for a phantom employee named Sandra Garrett for 4 years. Sandra Garrett was her cat's name. I'm not making this up. The forensic accountant found Patricia had used the stolen funds to finance her lake house, a boat she hilariously named Rule Keeper, and approximately $14,000 worth of designer handbags. She'd been literally carrying around stolen money on her shoulder while measuring people's grass height. During the criminal proceedings, Patricia's lawyer tried to argue she suffered from a psychological condition that compelled her to enforce order. The prosecutor responded by showing a photo of Patricia's own house, which we discovered had 17 HOA violations, including the wrong shade of shutters, an unapproved garden gnome collection, and a shed that exceeded the size limit by 40%. The judge actually laughed out loud. Her husband filed for divorce midway through the trial, apparently just learning about the secret lake house she'd never told him about. He showed up to one of the hearings wearing a shirt that said former first gentleman of Maple Ridge, which got a standing ovation from the gallery full of homeowners she'd terrorized. The trial revealed even more insanity. Patricia had a notebook where she ranked neighbors by compliance score. She gave people demerits for things like too much laughter during barbecues and excessive holiday cheer. She once tried to fine the Jeffersons for their golden retrievers, quote, overly enthusiastic tail wagging that she claimed was disruptive to the community aesthetic. But my absolute favorite revelation was her secret social media account, where she posted photos of violations with nasty captions. She'd photographed Mrs. Wilson's grandmother's wheelchair ramp with the caption "Architectural Nightmare" and posted a picture of the Kumar family's Diwali decorations labeled "Cultural Chaos." The Kumar's attorney had a field day with that one. The final judgment came down on a Thursday afternoon in September. Patricia stood as the judge read the verdict, guilty on all counts. 14 counts of fraud, 6 counts of embezzlement, 2 counts of identity theft for the fake employee scheme, and 1 count of tax evasion. The sentence was 5 to 7 years in federal prison, full restitution to all affected homeowners, and $300,000 in additional fines. Patricia's knees buckled. She grabbed the defense table for support, her perfectly manicured nails scraping against the wood. She whispered repeatedly that this wasn't possible, that she was just maintaining standards, that Maple Ridge would fall apart without her. As the bailiff approached with handcuffs, she turned to the packed courtroom and shrieked that we'd all regret this when our property values plummeted. Then she fainted, falling backward into her attorney's arms with her visor flying off and landing at my